Behind my mask of calmness, a storm of emotions rages on. To the outside world, I appear put together, I smile, I laugh, I engage in effortless conversations. But beneath the surface, a different story unfolds. The silent struggles that plague me are invisible to the naked eye. They reside in the quiet moments, the pauses between words, and the fleeting expressions that I swiftly conceal. It's a peculiar thing about silent struggles. They don't announce themselves with fanfare. They creep in unnoticed, like shadows cast by the light of everyday life. And yet, they can be overwhelming, suffocating even. For the longest time, I've wrestled with the weight of unspoken words, the burden of unexpressed emotions, and the crushing pressure of silence. In the stillness of the night, when the world around me slows its pace, I'm often left to face the demons that haunt me. The silence becomes almost palpable, a physical presence that presses down upon me. It's in these moments that I'm forced to confront the depths of my own pain, to acknowledge the weight of my unspoken struggles. And though it may seem like I'm fine on the surface, the truth is that I'm often barely holding on. I've long been trapped in a world of secrecy, convinced that my struggles were mine alone to bear. The weight I carry is invisible to others, yet it's a constant presence in my life. Some days, it's a gentle pressure, a reminder that I'm still standing. Other days, it's a crushing force, a suffocating weight that threatens to consume me. I've mastered the art of pretending, of wearing a mask that hides my true self. I'm afraid that if others see the cracks in my facade, they'll view me as fragile, as broken. So I stay silent, even when the urge to scream is overwhelming. But the truth is, my fear isn't just about being ignored, it's about being truly seen. If someone were to look beyond my mask and understand the depth of my struggles, they might realize that I'm not as strong as I appear. They might see that I'm barely holding on, that my sanity is precarious at best. And that realization is a daunting prospect, one that fills me with a sense of dread. The weight of my secrets is a heavy burden to bear, one that I carry with me every waking moment. It's a constant reminder that I'm living a life of quiet desperation, one that's fraught with anxiety and fear. But for now, I'll continue to wear my mask, to pretend that everything is okay, and to silently suffer in the shadows. The thought of vulnerability sends shivers down my spine. Yet, I'm tired of hiding behind a mask of perfection. I'm exhausted from pretending that everything is fine when it's not. The fear of being seen as weak or fragile has held me back for far too long. What if I let my guard down and shared my true self with others? What if I admitted that I'm struggling, that I don't have all the answers? Would anyone listen, or would they walk away, uncomfortable with the messiness of my emotions? The silent struggles I've carried for so long are growing louder, more insistent. Maybe it's time to find out if I can share this burden with someone else. Maybe it's time to take a chance and be vulnerable. Speaking up is terrifying, but so is the thought of remaining silent forever. Once the words are out, I can't take them back. But what's the worst that could happen? People might see me as imperfect, as someone who struggles. And maybe that's okay. For years, I've shouldered this weight alone, convinced that it would pass if I just smiled through it. But it hasn't passed. If anything, it's grown heavier, until I felt like I was drowning under its weight. I'm ready to take a chance, to be seen, to be heard. I'm ready to let go of the fear that's held me back for so long. The night unfolded like any other, with laughter and jokes flowing freely. But beneath the surface, a storm brewed. A sudden, inexplicable pain pierced my gut, like a fracture spreading its jagged edges. I couldn't pinpoint the cause. Was it the weight of pretending, or the crushing loneliness that came with being surrounded by people? The room began to spin, voices blurring into a cacophony. I felt suffocated, like the walls were closing in. The air was thick, heavy, and I couldn't breathe. Before I knew it, I was standing up, pushing through the crowd, desperate for escape. I didn't expect anyone to follow me, but someone did. Their question was simple, yet profound. Do you still love me? It was asked with kindness, with genuine concern, and it caught me off guard. No one had ever asked me that before, truly meaning it. I tried to brush it off, to lie and say everything was fine. But something about their gentle tone made me hesitate, made me wonder if maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to pretend anymore. The words, "I'm fine," hovered on my lips, a reflexive response born from years of habit. But something about that moment felt different. The weight of my secrets felt crushing, and I was exhausted from pretending. For the first time, I found the courage to whisper the truth. No, I'm not okay. As the words left my lips, a dam inside me broke. But instead of the collapse I expected, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I wasn't met with judgment or discomfort. Instead, I was met with understanding and compassion. In that moment, I realized that I'd been carrying the weight of my struggles alone for far too long. I'd convinced myself that no one would understand, that I'd be seen as weak or broken. But the truth was the opposite. Opening up didn't make me vulnerable, it made me free. For years, I'd shouldered the burden of my silent struggles, convinced that I had to face them alone. But that night, I finally let someone in. And what I found was that people care more than we give them credit for. They listen, they support, and they help us carry the weight. And in that moment, I felt a sense of liberation, a sense of freedom that I'd never known before. For far too long, I believed that silence was my only solace, that by internalizing my pain, I was shielding others from the weight of my struggles. I thought that if I just kept everything locked away, I'd be sparing them the burden of my emotions. But the truth is, the pain didn't disappear, it only intensified, festering deep within me like an open wound. The silence became a heavy cloak that I wrapped around myself, a constant reminder of the secrets I kept hidden. But with each passing day, the weight of those secrets grew, until I felt like I was drowning under the pressure. I was trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and fear, unsure of how to break free. It wasn't until I finally found the courage to speak up that I realized the truth. Silence may have been my shield, but it was also my prison. By keeping my struggles hidden, I was perpetuating a cycle of pain. But by sharing my truth, I was able to find a sense of liberation, a sense of freedom that I'd never known before. The night I finally spoke up was a turning point. Instead of shattering me, the words set me free. Opening up wasn't easy, even after that moment of liberation. A nagging voice in my head whispered warnings of rejection and judgment. But the opposite happened. People didn't flee, they drew closer. They shared their own stories, their own struggles, and the pain they'd been hiding. It turned out I wasn't alone in my imperfections. One by one, they opened up to me, revealing the weight they'd been carrying behind their smiles and casual conversations. In that moment, I realized that vulnerability wasn't a weakness, but a bridge to deeper connections. By sharing our true selves, we found a sense of community and understanding. We were no longer alone in our struggles, and that realization was both a relief and a liberation. A veil lifted, and I saw the world in a new light. I realized that everyone around me was fighting their own invisible battles, and I wouldn't have known if I hadn't spoken up. It was a profound moment of understanding. The strongest thing we can do is share our truth, even when it's hard. I used to believe that healing meant fixing myself, solving my problems, and being perfect before I was worthy of love and happiness. But now I see that healing is about embracing my imperfections, about being seen in my messiest moments. It's about understanding that I don't need to have all the answers, I just need to be brave enough to ask for help. In this newfound understanding, I find freedom. Freedom to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, and to be human. I realize that healing isn't a destination, it's a journey of self-discovery, of growth, and of connection with others. And in this journey, I'm not alone. A weight has lifted, and I'm finally breathing freely. For so long, I thought I had to hide my true self, to mask my pain and struggles behind a facade of perfection. But I've come to realize that's not only impossible but also unnecessary. I'm learning to be gentle with myself, to acknowledge my flaws and imperfections. I'm discovering that it's okay to not have all the answers, to stumble and make mistakes. And I'm finding solace in the fact that I'm not alone in this journey. The people around me are no longer faceless strangers but individuals with their own stories, struggles, and scars. We're all in this together, navigating the complexities of life, and it's in this shared humanity that I find comfort. Some days are darker than others, and the weight of my struggles feels crushing. But I've learned to lean into the discomfort, to sit with my emotions and let them be. I've discovered that vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength, a testament to my courage and resilience. In this newfound understanding, I'm finding a sense of freedom. Freedom to be myself, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. Freedom to love and be loved, not for who I pretend to be but for who I truly am. And as I walk this path, I'm finding that the weight of my struggles is slowly becoming more manageable, not because it's disappearing but because I'm learning to live with it, to dance with it, and to find beauty in the imperfections. I'm no longer alone in my struggles. I've discovered that seeking help is a sign of survival, not weakness. And with this knowledge, I've found freedom. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing: I will no longer suffer in silence. My fears and doubts will no longer dictate my life. I'll face every challenge with courage and vulnerability, knowing that I'm strong enough to survive. For the first time, I'm ready to live fully, to love deeply, and to be myself without apology. I deserve to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved exactly as I am. And with this realization, I've found a sense of peace, a sense of freedom, and a sense of purpose. I'm ready to take on the world, one step at a